Okay, so hi. We just saw a really interesting 3D printing show. Now we have Alpo, Oksanharju, and Mikko Kallinen talking about why create today a game engine in today's world when there are so many of the engines available today. So
Thanks. Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Work?
How about me? Okay.
Yeah, hi guys. We are here Interactive. My name is Alpo Oksanharju, so usually you get my name wrong, like this time. I'm the writer, designer, and artist on this project, and bit about my background. I am a 3D artist. I have training for that, and before that I did some very useless stuff like music and whatnot. Been doing 3D art for I think maybe six years. And before that I did.
Apparently. So I'm Mikko Kallinen. I'm the programmer, composer, and also designer of Theory and Interactive. And my background is about 20 years of programming and making music, and about 12 years of programming professionally. And yeah.
So today's topic actually isn't our first game called Reset, but the tech or the technology behind it and why we chose to build our own tech instead of taking a third-party engine or different third-party technologies to actually build the game. Uh, the game is a single-player co-op first-person puzzle game, so anyone who's played Portal probably knows what kind of game that is. But instead of portals, we have time travel. But I'm not going to go into the actual game, what the game is going to be like, because that we will be showing that later this autumn and before Christmas. Yes, so we are building our first game. We haven't done any other game before, just the two of us. But we did work for FutureMark before, and we were making Shattered Horizon. Does anyone know the game or played Shattered Horizon? Cool, excellent. I did some work on that, and obviously Mikko is the guy behind 3D Marks for a very long time. Does anyone, or how many of you guys know Reset or have seen the trailer that we put out? Well, that's pretty good. Almost half. Well, now we'll show it again because everyone hasn't seen it. So. And we're very proud of it. And we want to show it everywhere we can. Hopefully the audio works. that's that. So, our company is called Theory Interactive, and shortly we want to tell a little bit about our kind of approach to tackling things and what the basic ideas were when we started, and why we started this company, and why we want to do things the way we want to do them, and what are the things that we want to do. One of the key issues, or the key factors, was that we really wanted to create something that we have total and only total control over. And the way we had to tackle it in the first place, that was that, first of all, we have no money, okay? So
Almost no money.
almost no money. So, okay, we could buy computers, but that's about it. So the key factor was that we need to find things, or way to do things, that we can actually do them by ourselves with least amount of effort. And this is very common in almost any game development company, but this was a very crucial thing when we started thinking about things. And we started thinking that we need fresh thinking in content creation, because obviously doing this kind of 3D stuff usually is very expensive. You need hundreds and hundreds of man hours to pull full-scale games off with this kind of graphic fidelity. We wanted to find ways that we knew that there must be some ways to do things more easily. So that's where we started from. So this fine sentence here is to tell you guys that we needed to, throw out old ways of doing stuff, and we needed to just start from zero and basically invent the wheel again, which is pretty stupid in some terms, but that's where we started from. And from that, obviously, we move on to the actual tech, which is called Praxis. And Praxis is for us, Praxis is just a way of doing things, and our translation of our thoughts into the actual tech, which makes the actual game. But in Praxis, although we've named it, it's not a full all-round engine. It's just what we need to do. So it's basically it's like, I always say engine, but he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't like that name. The word engine usually implies some kind of standalone product which anyone can use to make anything, and that's not what Praxis is about, at least not yet.
Yeah, so Praxis is basically, it is our in-house engine. Everything you saw in the trailer is made with it. But in comparison to, let's say, well, other especially in the pipeline section of stuff, Praxis doesn't make anything. It just makes what we want to do. So we carefully weigh what we need to do, what we want to accomplish, and then find the best way of doing that, and only that. So we're very careful of not building fancy systems that can do anything, because that's not what we want to do. Obviously, it is a hefty piece of tech and a very, very beautiful program. I'm not saying that, but
But the difference is that we're not doing, even though we've named our tech because it's easier to talk about it. It's not a tech that can do everything. It just does what we need to make it do and do that the best way it can. So actually that sentence becomes this. So it's our, anyway, we're trying to tell you guys this. So if you, after this presentation, you kind of get that it doesn't make perfect sense, then we kind of failed, but it doesn't really matter. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No.
Nope. We have a few points that we want to talk about the actual graphic stuff of Praxis and not the actual game tech or game pipeline stuff, but actually the graphic stuff, because that's easier to tell with pictures. And there are a few points we want to share first. And we're trying to keep this presentation as short as possible, so you can we'll have a longer questions and answers session afterwards. But yeah, these are the kind of the key points when we started what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to achieve high visual quality, and from an artist perspective, that meant that we didn't want to necessarily build photorealistic stuff. That's not our main goal. Our main goal is to portray the things in the game and in the game world as we like to portray them, and then it's not a kind of the holy grail for us to just make it look photorealistic. That's not the main reason. It's just something for us as game makers. We feel comfortable with portraying things in this manner of graphic design. So if we really like to do games that have just your basic indie game 8-bit graphics or stuff like that, then we'd be happy to do that. But that's I'm just trying to point out that for us, we feel that there's it's not that there's like the photorealistic graphics is like the good, and then there's like the bad graphics that is very simple, but they are on the same level. So every game designer and game design company makes the decision what type of graphic representation they want for their game, and this is what we wanted to do. So that's why we are doing it, and how we can start pulling things off with just a very small team is, well, Mikko can talk more about that, I guess.
Yeah, we chose physically based rendering, not only because it makes stuff look cool, but because it's actually easier to make stuff using physically based rendering than using some ad hoc methods of custom shaders or whatever. And so basically everything that you see in the game is somehow based on physics, and the way it makes things easier is that there are fewer magic numbers to tweak, so the artist doesn't actually have that much work to do to get a good result.
That is correct. So in order to get a lot of stuff done, we really need to simplify things in many areas of the actual production pipeline. We'll go deeper into that in just a moment. One of the key graphical features was that, well, I've adopt this tangible atmosphere, because we feel that one thing that's missing in games or game worlds is the medium, or the thing, or the space between objects is usually done very weakly, or it always breaks down in that section. So I felt that, you know, like our realistic world, the actual air and medium is very important. So we wanted to make our game world feel very, very tangible, in a sense that you can actually feel the moist and light coming from different directions, and well, obviously one of the key features in that is volumetric lighting, which we have implemented, and Mikko can probably say a few bit technical side.
Many people think guard rays when they hear volumetric lighting, and that's of course one side effect, but nowadays many games implement just the guard rays part using some kind of cheap image-based 2D post-processing effect, and we just thought that that's not enough for us. So we went fully volumetric, and we have a volumetric fog with variable density, so we can have stuff like local fog patches or local rain under a specific cloud or things like that.
I'm going to show you a short video of just showing a bit about the volumetric systems in place. In this, you can see we are rendering all the clouds. It's not a what do you call it? A sky dome in the normal sense, which you find in games. We're actually simulating the clouds and the light scattering in the clouds, and we're simulating all the light, how it actually works in air and in fog and in different heights. So in this you can really see as the clouds move into the horizon. We'll show that again. You can see how the light sweeps the trees and goes into the horizon. So it feels that the clouds in the sky and the air and the objects are actually in the same world, and it doesn't seem flat. You don't see particle flatness anywhere, or just your normal billboards. When the light comes up, you can see how it sweeps across the land. It's just small differences compared to your basic depth fog, because now the light actually interacts with it, and we feel, or we get a kick out of it, and we feel that that's very important to make the game or the game world seem realistic and very really come to your skin, and not just what you see in the on the actual screen. And one piece of tech obviously is how we do surface shading, and in this actually this is very important for workloads wise, because one major issue or one major workload is making nice maps and textures for objects. Obviously, we knew that in order to fill the actual game world, which is quite big, with just one artist, yay! We knew that we need to simplify things drastically. So for example, this object, our hero character 02, has no, well, has two maps that are built for only this object, and it's I hand painted very roughly and very quickly just the areas on the actual object where we get dirt and moss, and that's it. Everything else you see is just your basic tiling textures. So even though you see here the details, they are basically our method of doing a what you call it?
Decals.
Decals, yes, but we're doing it a bit differently. We're not going to go too deeply into that because it's a big topic. Well, anyway, the point is that we use the same. We build a certain set of materials in the game, and we use those same materials in all the objects. So I'm not going to build materials and textures per object. I'm going to build a set of approximately about 30-40 materials that we're going to use in the entire game, and that's it. That's all we're going to do. But obviously that comes with a price on the rendering side, which is to do with we have many layers, which you can probably say something about.
Yeah, we have quite a few more layers of textures than a typical game, so that's more rendering workload, but GPUs get faster all the time, so they can handle the work.
It's not a problem. And in comparison to doing per object materials and textures is the resolution, because we can get ridiculous amount of resolution in the objects, far beyond what we ever need with just using tiling materials. And the uniqueness on this object comes from where the dirt is and how the dirt is laid, and how you can see the streaks going down into the correct direction. But that's not painted in any texture. I've only painted a very rough 520 by 520, or even I think it's
512.
512. Sorry, 512. But I think it was even smaller than that. It was like 256, I think. Texture where there is dirt, but that texture doesn't. It's just a black and white texture which shows where the dirt is, but it doesn't show what kind of dirt is. That comes from the layers that we have. But anyway, that's a huge improvement in actually making stuff in the world surface-wise. Obviously, I have to model stuff, but we're trying to keep this hero character is obviously a bit exception, that it is a bit more high detail than most objects in the world. But we're trying to our goal is to, or our idea is that the objects you see in real world are usually very simple, but what makes them interesting is how they are worn and how there's dirt and so we're making that very well, but the actual objects are very simple. Otherwise we couldn't do it. It would be just impossible. And that brings us to the actual our workflows. So here is our editor. As you can see, it's very simple. Even though we talked about not having a lot of numbers to tweak, you can only see numbers to tweak. But at this stage, we're keeping everything open so we can try out stuff. But the actual workflows or the pipeline that's our crucial or our kind of the main sort of idea, or the best idea we've come up with, that we find things that we can pull off, that we can actually pull off the game. So that's our kind of the main innovation, and that's what we're doing with Praxis, and that's basically what we cannot do with any other engine or any other tech, that we find radically new ways of doing stuff. But this is obviously, this is every company that does their own tech or their own tools. This is the same thing, and we're not trying to be different. We're just telling that, you know, that we've done it, and even though we're just two people. So in conclusion, what we wanted to achieve is we wanted to do high quality with a small team, with a unique visual look, with the volumetric lighting. We felt that it's very important, and we like to do it. We're kind of head in the clouds sort of dudes anyway. We're always tripping over things while looking at the clouds. Total control under the hood. If we taken a third-party engine, we knew that we couldn't pull off certain things if we wanted to change things, and many engines, third-party ready engines, it becomes very difficult to even change the rendering engine. So, and obviously, because we don't have the money, we cannot buy source codes, or we don't want to buy source codes where the licenses cost comes in. It's fairly cheap to do your own tech. And the last part is obviously it was our desire. We wanted to do our own technology, and we had the talent to do it. So this is the key issue here. So I mean, obviously everyone does what they can. So we could do it, so we did it, or we're doing it. And that pretty much is our presentation. Thank you for listening. I can show the trailer again if you want to look at it again, and then we can take some questions, or you can ask questions right away, whichever you prefer. Do you have any questions straight away? You do? Okay. Oh, shoot.
Yes, we've seen two beautiful videos right here, but from a game developer perspective, basically, how does the Praxis engine help game developers make an actual game based on your graphics, your engines? Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Well, we're not, at this point, we're not, like we said, we're not building an engine or tech that we will license or sell. But everything we've done is based on research done by many in many areas. So what we're trying to do, especially with our blog, that we're gonna try and keep or tell openly that what we have done and how we have done things. So that's our contribution. We're not at this stage. We're not planning to release the actual code base, but we never say never, because the actual engine is built for our needs only. So if someone else wants to do something with the engine or would like to do it, they would probably have a hard time, because they would probably want to do something else. So what we're trying to do is tell very openly that what we have done inside the engine, what is happening inside the engine, what are the technologies, what are the shader techs and whatnot. So that's our contribution. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
How long has it taken for you to develop this technology?
Well, we started roughly a year ago, and basically that's the time that's been taken into this. I think Mikko had some groundwork or knowledge before that, but all the code is being written in about a year's time.
Well, the guys sort of next to me sort of already basically asked my question, but still,
Okay.
it's still sort of like. Well, basically, the question is that it's sort of considering the team size. I mean, it's incredibly impressive in my opinion. I mean, my basic question is that how much of of this has been repurposed, reused code, and how much of it is sort of brand new code?
Well, technically it's all brand new code because obviously we couldn't use any code I had written while I was employed at another
So basically,
company.
FutureMark owns it.
Yeah, FutureMark owns the code I wrote on my spare time while I was employed there. So this is all written after that. But of course, all the knowledge is in my head. So it's pretty similar in places.
Okay, thanks.
About the lighting, does the sun react to horizon, or does the color change when it's near the horizon or below
Yeah.
it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So the fog is actually right into the horizon as far as you can see.
Yeah.
It's there. Yeah.
Yes. We're simulating the sky, so there are different scattering methods going on there. The one is simulating the actual kind of the sky dome, or how air affects in the distance, and it obviously it changes when sun goes down, and it becomes more yellow and red. And
Okay. Thank you.
Did you have any inspiration for the visual, for the design style?
yes. Does that answer the question?
Want to share? Blade Runner?
Yeah, well, obviously we are kids that grew up in the 80s, and all the 80s big stuff, Blade Runner, Aliens, we're huge fans of, obviously, of that. Those play a huge part in kind of the inspiration. But for this game, I don't know, it comes from many different places. I think there's not one thing, I guess. So it's because I've been asked this question before, and I've had a hard time answering before, because I kind of tried to go back where I actually got the inspiration, or how things should look. I really can't pinpoint that. I mean, but I think it's a blend of kind of some kind of science fiction, retro science fiction, and 80s sci-fi movies, and obviously Blade Runner is one big influence, and some anime stuff, and I don't know. Yeah, like I said, yes.
Okay.
I was inspired by many things, so we were inspired. by
Great
many things.
atmosphere.
Thanks.
About the light transfer itself and the scattering, is your work based on the sparse voxel OC trees back from 2008? And are you, for example, when the sun lights the ground, do you build a shadow map with a visibility function, or are you using some sort of voxel cone OC tree style technique per voxel when you are actually solving how much light the different point at space gets?
No, we don't use sparse voxel octrees for anything. But visibility function, that sounds familiar. So that's, you probably mean the opacity shadow mapping. That's what we use for the attenuation of light through the air.
Okay, do you mind if I come ask some more questions a bit later?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. If you have very deep questions, by all means come and talk to us. We'd be happy to talk to you. Do you have any more questions now? Just one guy, I guess.
You said that this has taken was it about a year?
About a year.
Yeah. So how much money has gone into it? Do you have any numbers that you can share?
Well, yeah, I mean, The computers cost about 2,000 per computer about, and rent for a year, I think somewhere around 8 to 10,000 euros, I think. But like we said, we're not. We don't get salary from this. This is we got starttiraha, obviously, and so our method is. I forgot to write that one method is punching holes in our belts, because that's one key issue in making this stuff happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
tekemisen meininki.
Yes, that's truly what it is. I mean, this is something we want to do. I mean, it's one of those situations that we wanted to do this, even though we wouldn't even go anywhere. We just wanted to do it, and if it all kind of crashes down, we still get, it's a good thing for us, and we're happy to being able to do it. Obviously, that's not our goal. Our goal is to go further, but our goal is to stay independent. That's one key issue here, because we feel that we really want to be in control of this and the next project and the next project, and even in this stage, I mean, we've been thrown money at, but it's a great feeling to get to say that no thanks for big companies. That especially if we do it, if we get funding at this stage, we'd be compromising ourselves immediately, and that's something we weren't prepared to do at this stage. We need to have something first before we can actually start negotiating with anyone. It's hard to do, when you're actually doing a first game, and obviously it looks promising, but we're very weak on the negotiation side. But yeah, our tekemisen meininki, that's the key here.
Thank you.
Yeah, me again. Do you have any kind of target hardware for this, or anything like, or is it just that, well, whatever it takes to run it the way we want it to run, well, just suck it up, or do you? Yeah.
Well, our development systems aren't that powerful. We have some i5 machines and GTX 470 and 5850 Radeon graphics cards, and that's the stuff we develop it with. And should I say what we're aiming?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably really close to what we're aiming at. I mean, obviously we're trying to build a game that many people can enjoy, but the visual quality is very important in the game, and the atmosphere. So there are certain things that we have to draw the line somewhere, but we don't want to build a game, we don't want to be the next Crytek or anything that, that only a few people can enjoy, or they have to upgrade their machines, but this is truly a PC game. So we've been asked also that what about consoles? We immediately say no, because they can't handle it. So next gen consoles maybe, but this is truly a PC game.
Thanks.
What's your focus at the moment? Are you now concentrating on game development?
Yes, we're doing. We've done things a bit in a different order. We did some game design first. When we kind of found out that this route and these mechanics are worth pursuing, we wanted to see that if you can actually pull the tech off. So we did that fairly good way along, and now we're going back to the actual, or doing the actual game and the game design, obviously at the same time. But we're looking at releasing sometime next year. Hard to say at this point, but yes, we're concentrating on the gaming side at this moment, and the next stuff we're gonna really show is the actual gameplay. Obviously, that's very important stuff, and people are waiting for us to show that. So.
And you're still planning to do this by the two of you?
Yes, obviously there are many people that have come to us that they want to help us pull this thing off, but we've taken the stance that we're not going to accept free work, because that would be unfair for everyone. So, and at the moment we cannot hire anyone. So when we started this, we said that, okay, well, if this is the bottom line, we need to be able to make this game with just the two of us if we don't get any help. So, and at the stage it looks like it's going to be that. But anyway, it's because it's pretty. Actually, it's a good thing, because our pipeline is so kind of custom. So bringing in new people would just slow us down. So we can do stuff fairly quickly with just two of us. When we start bringing in people, then it becomes, it slows down for a moment, and then we would have to bring in more people to compensate, and it would be just not good. So at this stage it looks like two of us, yes.
Yeah, since there's, well, just the two of you, and you kind of have the so-called AAA production values in your game, you mentioned, like, for example, saving up on the materials and such, but what other kind of methods, game design-wise, do you have where you save up on resources, like, for example, the lack of NPCs, or like the limited gameplay areas or something like that? And how does it affect your game design process?
That's actually a very good question, and that is a big part that we didn't cover in this because we wanted to cover the technical side. But that's a good question, because obviously one big thing in kind of roughing out what kind of game we can actually make is that we can make this kind of game. But if we go down the road that let's say we make a shooter, even a simple one, we need AI. In this game we don't have AI. We can tell that at this stage. I mean, the world is obviously very much alive, and there's the kind of the story which is very important in this game ties into the kind of the loneliness and emptiness of the world. It's part of that. So it's a big clump of things which all complement each other, and which we can use, that we don't need to do a lot of stuff. So this is our first game. We aim to be moving forward after this game, but for this game, obviously, that, like you said, that's for game design wise, it's that the game is going to be fairly simple, but enjoyable, and the story is one of the big points in this game. So those are the main focuses of this game. Very atmospheric. We're not going to dumb down the story. It's going to be for, not your average 12 years old. So, but yeah, that's a good point. I mean, obviously, we do this type of game because we don't have the resources to employ NPCs or do elaborate animated cutscenes or anything like that. So everything.
Yeah, I appreciate your philosophy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone at the front.
Are you planning to sell alpha versions?
Alpha versions. We're not actually sure yet. We are going to have. Obviously, we need testing, so that's where people come in. So we are going to release some kind of versions before the game is out, but the method and the kind of the broadness of what we're going to release is undecided yet. So you're going to see something, but that's not decided what.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No, I think that's it. In the corner.
Well, looks like there aren't that many questions, but still, have you considered Kickstarter? I mean, we've seen this really big Kickstarter, like the Audio console, and well, I mean, you think that something like this would basically help you along, and you wouldn't have to pull your belt that many notches down. And
Yes.
you got the funding for that, but
We have considered Kickstarter. There are a few problems. Even there's like first problem is that you need to be a U.S. citizen to apply for the programs. Okay, but there are workarounds. There are different workarounds. But at this stage, it just just going to Kickstarter, it takes a chunk out of our actual work time. And then we've been thinking about, okay, let's say we have some money. What are we going to do about it? Okay, we can obviously buy more bread, but we're probably not going to get enough money to hire people to help us do this faster. We have obviously we have some audio talent and stuff like that in-house, but we've been thinking about if we do Kickstarter, it's going to be or similar than Kickstarter. We're going to do it after we release the first gameplay trailers and really find out where we need that extra money so we can make it worthwhile. So it's hard to make people hey, would you please pay our salaries for the next month or 2 months or 3 months, because the people need to have something very concrete for the money they put in Kickstarter.
But I mean, all kinds of stupid crap.
Obviously,
funded, so it shouldn't be hard.
No, it shouldn't be. But I mean, yeah. But the biggest problem in Kickstarter is that we need a U.S. citizen, either on board the company, or then we use a few workarounds, which again involves managing different things, and it's just at this stage we decided that if we go down that road, we're going to do it after the first gameplay trailers and stuff like that. But we've been thinking about it.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Any other? Cool. Thank you very much for listening and asking us questions. And if you have any more questions, please come talk to us. We'll be here not all day, but sometime, I guess, after the show somewhere here. So anyway, thank you very much.